Okay, today we'll look at how to survive a sudden nuclear strike if you're out and about in a big city. Of course, if you're too close to ground zero, nothing will save you. Still, you should try and do everything you can, as you may just be far enough to have a chance. And you don't want to piss away that chance by freezing while you piss yourself like that woman in Threads, or survive the initial detonation due to dumb luck, only to die from the fallout like the elderly couple in When the Wind Blows. So in this video, we're looking at a bolt out of the blue attack that has caught you by surprise. This assumes that in a normal escalation scenario from a conventional clashes to tactical nuclear weapons has not occurred. For it has, you should have gotten out of town or at very least stopped engaging in normal activities and started hanging out in a subway station or deep underground car park. Well, of course, you could also have been in denial due to normality bias. I'm hoping that my regular subscribers do not suffer from that and are ready and willing. You know, and so let's look at what would cause a bolt out of the blue attack. The most likely cause would be some sort of glitch that was interpreted as a launch by the other side. Far less likely is a planned surprise attack, as any increased activity at air and naval bases would be picked up by the other side and would leak out to the public one way or another. So the only true surprise attack would be launched with no overt preparations using the silos existing at sea, submarines, and already airborne bombers. And they kind of hope that somehow that's enough to get it. So if it is a bolt out of the blue attack, the best warning you'll likely get are reports and videos on social media of mass Minuteman launches. That means you should have at least 10 to 15 minutes to get underground. This is the best case. You may even have time to get your go bag out of your trunk of your car if you have one, or buy some water and energy bars before going underground. As for getting a warning on your phone, radio, or TV, it's unlikely you will get more than a couple minutes of warning at best, due to delays in NORAD communications to civil authorities, as well as dithering by those civil authorities, such as what happened during the Maui fires. If you can get underground in a few minutes, do it. Otherwise, find solid cover between you and the likely ground zero, which can either be the harbor, airports, or at best guess, center of town. Of course, it's starting to get a little grimmer now. You may have witnessed a hopefully distant flash and mushroom cloud from a counterforce strike, or you may see it in social media, assuming that has been the precursor EMP strike. As for how much time you have between a counterforce strike and a countervailing strike when they start hitting the cities, God only knows. So assume a minute or two at the most. If there's a subway entrance or underground car park you can sprint to in a minute, then do it. Otherwise, take cover behind something solid between you and the expected ground zero. Of course, an EMP strike will be a dead good way. The nuclear attack is underway. So if your phone or car just went dead, then EMP strike has occurred. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a nuclear weapon that is detonated at very high altitudes, such as say 200 miles up or 320 kilometers for the rest of the world. And in order to release this magnetic pulse to fry all electronics over a wide area, the goal is to cripple the civil response to nuclear attack, as well as the ability to warn the population and destroy all electronic infrastructure over a wide area, just crippling, post-attack response and whatnot. Now, certainly an EMP can be launched on its own, certainly by a rogue power. It's got the one missile. But in a major nuclear war, it will be a precursor to an all-out nuclear strike. Again, only God knows how much time you have between the EMP, your phone going fried out, and you don't see any activity on it. You can't turn it on, no bars, no nothing, no screen. And when the actual strike comes. I would again assume you only have a minute or two at best. So, sprint to the subway entrance or underground car park if you can get there in a minute or so. Otherwise, take cover behind something solid. Now we're getting really close to the wire here. We're seeing streaks in the sky like shooting stars. Well, those are incoming warheads. So duck and cover now. You only have seconds. Dive behind anything in diving range, or just dive down onto the deck. Head away from the direction of the streaks. Cover your ears, close your eyes, and keep your mouth open to equalize the pressure from the coming blast. And pray that you're far enough from ground zero to not be burned alive from the flash or pulped by the blast. Now, for the absolute worst case scenario, Your first warning is a flash. Now, first one you got to remember, a nuclear detonation has two flashes. There's an immediate flash that lasts us a few milliseconds. If that happens, immediately close your eyes as you hit the dirt. If you're facing it, you'd be likely blinded for a few minutes or worse, even permanently. But if you're facing away, resist the reflex to turn towards it. As the main, more thermally destructive flash is coming in a few more milliseconds or, maybe centiseconds, tenths of a second, whatever. And this flash will last from 1 to 10 seconds, depending on the kilotonnage of the warhead. So you want to make sure you're on the ground, certainly before the shock wave hits. It'll arrive in seconds as it travels at supersonic speed of up to 3,300 feet per second or 1 kilometer per second. And stay on the ground after it passes over you, as it will rush back towards ground zero in a reverse shock wave in order to fill the vacuum from where the explosion was. So at this point, now, once the reverse shock wave has passed, you have about 10 minutes, 15 at the most, to get underground or at least in the center of a high rise building before the fallout arrives. If you have no water on you, try and grab something en route to the shelter, as it can only last 3 days without water. Bonus is if you can grab a few granola bars and other snacks along with the water. Of course, we're assuming you have not been seriously injured or burned. If so, that will drastically reduce your chance of survival. Better hope you're the first to arrive at whatever hospital still operates, so they still have time and supplies to treat you. Otherwise, you'll end up just dying in a parking lot from the combination of your injuries and radiation sickness. Well, okay, let's assume that you actually are now underground or in the center of a large high rise building. Your risks are now from a firestorm forming and consuming the area you're sheltering in, or some latecomer coming into the shelter carrying fallout in their clothes and hairs. In case of being threatened by a firestorm, unless you're in the subway, there's nothing you can do beyond trying to keep the smoke out, making a mask from your clothes, or retreating as deep as you can. In the subway, start down the tunnel away from the firestorm, avoiding the third rail so you don't get electrocuted, because it could still be live. If someone enters when you're sheltering after 15 minutes, insist they strip off their clothes and toss them back out or behind a wall or concrete pillar. Explain they're contaminated and will die if they don't. In fact, they should actually try and wash their hair with any water that happens to be available to get anything that's in their hair. And if they refuse, try and get concrete masks or multiple colors between you and them, or go deeper into the shelter area. Once any immediate danger has passed, take stock of your situation. Where you're lucky enough to bring your go bag, which means you'll have food, water, transistor radio, the bits and bobs are of use. Otherwise, what do you have? Did you grab a couple bottles of water on the way in, a granola bar too? Are the other people down there with you? Are there vending machines in sight, like you're in the subway station, for example? Or are there cars you can break into to see if there's anything in them? If there are other people with you, chances are very good you know more about nuclear survival than they do, especially if you've viewed my nuclear war survival playlist and or have read the Nuclear War Survival Skills Handbook. So you should take leadership role by explaining the key nuclear survival information and organizing the group for survival. Start by explaining the 710 rule and debunking some of the doomer myths, such as radiation remaining lethal for years. A reminder, I did do a video on it. The 710 rule states that for every 7 units of time, the radiation level decreases tenfold. So after 7 hours, the radiation is only 10% of its initial level. After 49 hours, which is just an hour more than 2 days, the radiation is only 1% of its initial level. After 342 hours, or roughly 2 weeks, the radiation is only uh, uh, basically is only 1/10 of 1% of its initial level. So you can see by that time, you're safe to come out. But the key number, of course, if you're sheltered in a parkade, subway, high-rise subway, is the 49 hours or 2 days. So unless you have the bug out bag or go bag with sufficient water, with your other sources of water where you're sheltering, you'll be needing to secure potable water or other liquids. Remember, you can only go 3 days at most without water. And also note that drinking your pee does more harm than good, so don't. You know, Bear Giles was wrong on that one. So now it's 2 days have gone by since your city got nuked. Before you start, though, however, looking for food and water, think back. Have you heard of distant explosions since the first strike? Maybe there were more nukes, maybe some chemical plant exploding. If you still have some water, it's best to wait until it's been 2 days since the last explosion you heard. You don't want to be coming out into fresh fallout after all. But it has been 2 days, or your need is dire. Then improvise a mask if you don't have one. Cover your shoes with any material you could scrounge in garbage bins and so forth. Safest choice is to look at any building internally connected to the subway, parkade, or sub basement, so you don't have to go out in the open. Look for restaurants, food stores, convenience stores, vending machines, and even break room fridges. Potable water can also be found in toilet tanks and hot water tanks. Limit your exposure to the absolute minimum to get just enough water and food to last another day or two, unless, of course, you hit a trove of food and water, because you remember the radiation level decreases each day, so it's best to do quick runs over multiple days than a long run, which would actually increase your overall exposure. If you have to go outside, strip your clothes as you get back inside. You don't want to bring the fallout inside. After 2 weeks, you can start looking for more comfortable shelter and range further for supplies. So, congratulations, you survived the initial strike and fallout. Now you will tackle the challenges of long term survival in an apocalyptic world, which we'll discuss in further videos. But in the more shorter term, I will also do a follow up video if you have more to warning, but for some reason you can't get out of town, say due to work, family obligations, or the warning is not that much and the roads are plugged. You don't want to be caught out on the road. So please like, subscribe, and comment. Bye for now.